Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios.
It's finally DC's time to shine. From film to live action to animation, all of it is here. The slate of the DC universe has been revealed. It is now here, and here I am talking about it. So, where do I start? James Gunn has taken the role of co-CEO for DC Studios, alongside Peter Safran, and they just revealed and announced the first chapter of the DC Universe. Again, from film to animation, possibly games that they haven't revealed, who knows. But we do know a good amount so far of Chapter 1. In the video that I showed the clip from, Gunn announced multiple different projects which I will be talking about and most likely sharing my opinions on. From all different types of genres to different stories and characters and etc. It is all under Chapter 1, which is titled Gods and Monsters. Which, if you ask me, is a pretty incredible and badass name. Or maybe I'm just biased, I'm not really sure. But before we get into the DCU and the continuity of the main story that will be, I want to go over DC Elseworlds, which is projects that are from DC that do not exist in the main continuity of the DC universe. So, Matt Reeves' The Batman, Todd Phillips' Joker, they're all their own separate universes and their own respective universes. So try to keep an eye out on what is DC Elseworlds and what is in the main DC universe, because the DC Elseworlds stories will remain in their own world and have nothing to do with the DC universe, the main continuity story. I just really can't say it enough. The DC Elseworlds stories have nothing to do and are not connected whatsoever to the DCU and the main continuity. And that's all regarding the timelines and universes and whatnot. But we do have news on one of the Elseworlds stories, and that is The Batman. The Batman Part 2 is the new title that has been revealed for the sequel of course, The Batman, and it is set to come out on October 5th, 2025. And trust me, I already have a reminder up, I already have it embedded into my brain, and God, I couldn't be more excited for it. It gives no idea and tells us nothing besides the title of it, but hey, I'm still excited for it. And honestly, I would take any news for this movie and this universe. I'm excited for it. It's only the title, which tells us nothing again, but I'm just happy we have that and a release date. But getting past all the Elseworld stuff, getting back into the DCU and the main announcement of the main continuity, kicking off the DCU, we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods, the sequel to the first Shazam movie, obviously. And we have Billy Batson, aka Shazam, our little superpowered friend, or his little kid. Friend, little kid, that doesn't go together. But we have Shazam and his superpowered friends. Directly from James Gunn, he says, considering that Shazam has been in his own story, and haven't really touched on anyone else or any other story in the DCU, it fits perfectly into what they have in store. So whatever the hell is going to happen in Shazam moves very smoothly directly into the next movie, which is The Flash, which has Ezra Miller still continuing his role as Barry Allen, aka The Flash, somehow. I don't know how, don't ask me. But this also comes directly from James Gunn in the video that he posted regarding these announcements. He says himself that The Flash will reset the DCU. So from this, I think we could all deduce that we should expect some Flashpoint aspects to the film, some timeline stuff, Barry running so fast he's resetting the universe, pretty much. Or maybe not. We really have to see how they execute it and how it's done, because if they actually do reset it and make it canon, there's a reset, it has to be done well. I have high expectations for the film, considering how big it is for this story and for the continuity, but we'll have to wait and see. And then again, from that, moving directly into the next film, we have Blue Beetle, Jamie Reyes taking on the bright blue alien armor, of course, that we all know and love, Blue Beetle. I'm very glad he's getting some recognition, and he'll be a more popular character once the film's released. I'm excited for it. It's probably going to be a really fun film, at least that's what I'm hoping for, and I'm just glad to see him get a spotlight, especially in live action. And then we move directly into yet another film, which is going to be Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Which I will say, I enjoyed the first one. I just want to see some really awesome effects and more of Black Manta, please. But regardless of that, now that I've named all of those films, I'll tell you this. They were all films that were planned to be in the DCU from the start. All of the movies I've listed off so far have been in the making for quite some time now, and somewhere along the road in the middle of said making, James Gunn took on the role of co-CEO. So now James Gunn partnered up with Peter Safran. It is the time to shine for DC Studios, starting with the films that I've named off, and of course, the new age, and what will be the DCU, the years go by, and that is Chapter 1 of the DCU, Gods and Monsters. And this is where I go over each and every project, so be ready. And now that I'm here, I really don't know where to start. I'm a little giddy. I'm just excited to see the future of DC and the DCU, but I'll go in the order that James Gunn went in his video, starting off with Creature Commandos, which off the bat I get if you're like, who the hell are these guys? Who are these? What is this team? And I'll tell you. Without getting into too much detail about this team, it's pretty much a team of freaks, a bunch of monsters that are made for war. From ghosts to ghouls to monsters and creatures of all different varieties, it is a team made to fight, led by, as you can see, Rick Flag Sr., with the team members being Nina Mazursky, Dr. Phosphorus, Eric Frankenstein, G.I. Robot, and Weasel. All that with the lead character being the Bride of Frankenstein. And if Weasel looks a little familiar, that's because he was in the live-action Suicide Squad film that released in 2021. And that being said, that proves the point of James Gunn even more, considering that he says all the characters that are in animated projects, anyone in animation, if the time is right, and if the time comes for them to be in live-action as well, they will reprise their role. So whoever is casted as these characters will play them both in live-action and animation, which is pretty neat. But I will say, they have to nail the casting for each and every character because of this, but I don't see them having much difficulty with this. I will say though, it's kind of shocking to see that this, of all things, are one of their main announcements, and was the first announcement of the new projects, because it is obviously a group of much lesser known characters. But honestly, that's the thing. They have to bring the comics, they have to bring these characters to life to have the DCU shine, and to explore all the characters that not everyone knows about. Because trust me, DC has so many great characters that they're planning to use, and characters that they can use if they want to, that I think deserve the spotlight, and a lot of lesser known characters should get the recognition that they deserve. And the DCU is doing exactly that. And that doesn't go only for Creature Commandos either. There are more projects that I haven't gone over yet, which we'll get into. But for this show at least, obviously it looks really silly. It looks like a ton of fun though, and I think that's exactly what we're going to get. I'm looking forward to this, obviously hoping for some horror aspects to it. But if they don't, it would be a missed opportunity, but I really doubt they're going to miss. But besides that, we can move on to the next one now. But keep an eye out, keep an ear out for this show if you're interested in it. I am, and I will watch each and every episode of this 7-episode long series. But now next up, we have yet another TV series, this one in live action, and it is all about Waller. For some reason, Amanda Waller. Yeah, I don't know. There's literally no info about this besides the announcement itself and that it's live action. But it's about Amanda Waller. Viola Davis is reprising her role, and I don't know what this could be about. I have no idea what they're planning for this. I don't know why even make this a show when there's much more they could do. But hopefully it's something good. Maybe. I will say some really dope characters can show up. Heroes, villains, anti-heroes, whatever it is. So it has potential somewhat. But I got no goddamn idea. Next topic, please. Now moving on to much bigger and much better things, we have one of the main announcements and main projects of the DCU with Superman Legacy. We are getting the Man of Steel, the ultimate symbol of truth, justice, and hope, in James Gunn's words, as the true beginning of the DCU. We don't know too much about Superman Legacy as of yet, besides the announcement itself, but I do know a lot of people are upset over the casting. Rightfully so. Considering the man that has played the Man of Steel multiple times now in recent times will no longer be in the role. Henry Cavill is no longer Superman, and Henry Cavill will not return. Well, most likely. As of right now, they have no plans of having Henry Cavill return, and I don't think that's going to change. So that being said, I think us as a fan base, as a community, we need to stop dwelling on that and really look forward to the future of the DCU and look forward to what Superman Legacy has to offer, along with the rest of the DC Universe. Starting with any project that you want to be excited for, honestly. But that includes Superman Legacy. It is coming, and it will be here soon. Sooner than you think. So, I'm looking forward to that personally, and I can't wait to see what they have to offer. I am kind of hoping to see Brainiac, but then again, he's much more useful as a universe-wide villain rather than a first film villain for Superman. But we'll have to wait and see for all of it. So, on with the next topic. Which is a topic that brings a light that shines very, very bright, considering it is a live-action TV show all about lanterns. Specifically, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart both in the Green Lantern Corps. And when I saw this, I was amazed. I was shocked even. Not only the Green Lanterns, but just the Lantern Corps in general, has not had a big media presence or big cinematic presence in quite some time now, and I understand why, but it is a staple of DC Comics. It is a major part in DC Comics as a whole, and I'm so glad that they're using them. I'm kind of surprised that it's not a film, but then again, they're using them in one way or another. I'm so glad that they're using them and actually bringing life to the Lanterns once again, and hopefully this time we'll do it justice. James Gunn says himself that in the show, the Lanterns will discover a terrifying mystery that will unfold into the big scheme of things, and that's how it will unravel into the universe. So that's how the Lanterns will get into contact with everyone else, and that's how things will unfold. Really looking forward to this, and finally, I'm just glad that they're just using them, at least. This and the Suicide Squad game that's releasing soon, they're actually using the Lanterns. They're actually getting some recognition, finally. Now the next one is a major project for both the DCU and for James Gunn himself, as he calls it a passion project, which is all about the Authority. A group of pretty extreme superheroes that think the world is broken and will fix it by any means necessary, no matter the cost. James Gunn said himself that it is a very different take on superheroes, so I'm assuming by the sounds of it that it is much more raw and serious than what we're used to. Thanks to all of this and everything that James Gunn says, it makes them seem very badass, which honestly makes me feel ashamed, considering that I'm not fond of them. I don't know too much about them, so I can't say much, but I will say I'm looking forward to it, and by the sounds of it, it is most definitely a staple in the DCU. A passion project for James Gunn himself, a massive film in the DCU and its storyline, and the way he talks about how the Authority will come face to face and interact with all of the other characters. It has to be something major. Now for the next one, we have yet another live-action TV show titled Paradise Lost, about, of course, the Amazonians and Themyscira, home of Wonder Woman, with Paradise Lost being her first debut into the new DCU, unless they decide to bring her in before this for some reason. I don't see why they would, but I'm just throwing things out there in case I'm correct. Who knows? But I'm not the biggest fan of Wonder Woman, so I don't really have much of an opinion on this. I will be willing to watch it, and I will watch it when it's released, but as of my opinion, there's not much of one, or info for that matter, as we only have the setting and the title of the show. But before I do move on into the next topic, I'm going to do another case of if I'm right, I'm right, with a little early prediction, a little theorizing. Considering that the show is titled Paradise Lost, it shares the same name as a comic run, which has Circe as the antagonist. So if there's any inspiration or influence from the comics, we could see the same villain show up. Maybe, maybe not. Could be right, could be wrong. And now, my most anticipated project out of all the announcements. If you've been on the channel whatsoever, you know what this is, considering how much I love the character and his mythos. We have the Brave and the Bold. Of course we have this because there wouldn't be no DC without him, or any of his mythos. We have the Caped Crusader, the world's greatest detective, the Batman, and, boy wonder, Robin. A surprise to be sure, but a very, very welcome one. Not only are Batman and Robin coming back and are in the DCU now, but also it is a live-action movie. So they're both coming to live action on the big screen, and I could not be more excited for this. It is inspired by Grant Morrison's run on the mythos, and just that alone gets me excited for it. I do have a lot to say about this, and I can honestly make it a whole separate video, so that's probably what I'm going to do. But for this one, we'll go more in depth into the announcement, as James Gunn says that this movie will be the introduction to the Bat family of the DCU, which doesn't really align, because in the Batman mythos, the Robin in this movie is Damian Wayne, the fourth Robin and actual son of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul. And now, since mentioning that, hopefully it makes somewhat more sense about how Damian Wayne being the beginning of the Bat family doesn't really make sense whatsoever. Maybe the Bat family is already established, or maybe Damian Wayne is actually the beginning of the Bat family. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, or maybe the wording was wrong. I'm not completely sure. But James Gunn did also go to say that Damian Wayne is his favorite Robin, so maybe that's confirmation that the character and movie will be handled with care. Who knows? I'm hoping, at least. But regardless, I'll make more videos on this one at a later date, so subscribe if you want to stay tuned and keep an eye out. But now back down to the announcements, we have yet another live-action TV show. This one, though, is all about Booster Gold. Personally, for me, I think Booster Gold is a great character that shines very bright, and I'm just glad that they're using him. Not everyone knows about him, but a good amount of people do, I think. But if you don't know who he is, I will tell you. Booster Gold, real name Michael Carter, was a man born in Gotham City, but is from the future. He uses all of the high-tech and futuristic technology that he can use to go back in time to become the superhero of Booster Gold. And, quite to his liking, he obtained all of the fame, money, power, and everything else that being a superhero can offer. So, of course, with this, he seeks glory wherever he goes. He's a pretty egotistical character, and he's a showboat. So the casting needs to be nailed. And I can't wait to see Skeets as well, the little robot that comes along with him everywhere he goes. And with that, we don't know too much about the show itself besides the title and what the show is going to be about. Well, main character-wise, we don't know nothing about the plot, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited to see Booster Gold take on the big screen. Booster Gold has had some live-action depictions, though, but this is also a TV show, so I guess it's not really the big screen. But it is in the DCU, so it is some sort of cinematic presence, but you know what I mean. But now next up in the announcements, we have Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. It is kind of bold to introduce Supergirl right after introducing Superman, I can admit to that, but we don't know too much about this one as of yet, besides the title and that it is a live-action film. I can also say, though, that the film shares the same name as a comic run, where Supergirl is lost and sees no purpose in anything. Supergirl in this one sees herself as a lost cause and sees herself in Superman's shadow wherever she goes. And on top of all of that, Krypton, the planet that she's from, her hometown of course, is absolutely destroyed. So it's up to Supergirl and some other characters to find out the meaning for her and to go against this conflict. It's most definitely a story that they can adapt if they want to, but we'll have to wait and see. And here we are. I'm so glad that they announced so many projects, but here we are finally at the final project that they announced of Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. Swamp Thing, which is going to be a live-action film with some horror aspects. So with that, I think that's something to really look forward to, at least in my eyes. We don't know too much about it, but from the title, I think it's safe to say what the movie's going to be about. Or maybe it's not just on Swamp Thing, maybe it just centers around Swamp Thing, while everything else unravels in the DCU, but we'll have to see when it's released. They can do, honestly, a lot with Swamp Thing, and it has a lot of potential, but so does every other project that I listed off. And with that, that comes to the end of the announcement of the reveal of Chapter 1 of the DCU, Gods and Monsters. So, I'll use this to ramble my thoughts and just go on and on about my overall thoughts, and holy hell, I'm so glad that this is out now. We get a good look at some of the stuff. Obviously, some of it is questionable, some of it is probably on the more interesting side of things instead of interested, but most of it I am interested and looking forward to it all. I'll probably end up watching every project anyways, just to keep up with the DCU, but just that statement alone is something to look forward to. We're getting an actual DCU now. An actual DC Comics cinematic universe, and I am all for it. I'll probably make a bit more videos and sharing some info on some characters that not everyone knows about, but then again, that's also a thing. They're using a lot of lesser-known characters that really deserve the spotlight and deserve some recognition, which hopefully will bring for the characters and their stories. But like I had already mentioned, that's the thing. They're bringing these characters, these stories, they're bringing DC Comics itself to life through DC Studios and through the DCU. So it's something to look forward to, all of it really, especially if you're a big DC fan like myself, and I just personally cannot wait to see what they have in store. And with that, I think that ends the video here, but just want to say thank you for watching me, thank you for joining me and taking a look at the slate of the DCU, and of course, consider leaving a like on the video, leave a comment if you can, and if you're not already, subscribe. And if you want to be notified whenever I upload, the bell will always be there, and that's all. That's about it, and of course, until next time.